Now, where'd we go?
Welcome tonight, guys, to another episode of SSL. I'm your host tonight, Typhoon, and my co-host tonight is Ryan.
Yes. How's everybody doing these days? Typhoon, how's it going?
Not too bad. Been a few weeks out. I figured we should get an episode in.
I
Um,
agree. Yes, we should, and we are. So it's all good. So I'm starting my holidays
Alrighty.
there today, so it's gonna be great. So here we
Oh,
go.
excellent.
Yeah, 10 days.
All right.
Love
I
it.
thought we'd kick off. We'd start off with a little World Juniors, and then maybe move into some MLB with and some Jays.
Okay, sounds good.
Um, First off, welcome back to the continuation of the World Juniors from last December.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Yeah.
it's exciting for Habs fans, I know, with Riley Kidney and Joshua Roy on that team. Roy is actually playing with top prospect from Anaheim, Mason McTavish, and top prospect to be number one overall this year, Connor Bedard. So that's quite an exciting line for Habs fans.
I guess so. I would say so. I mean, obviously, your high hope would be to get Bedard next year. I mean, that's everybody's hope, but clearly Montreal is
And
going to make a push for him.
oh yeah, for sure. I do believe we'll be a bottom feeder again, but
Mhm.
like the thing is with Joshua Roy playing beside him right now, and they seeing the already chemistry. How nice would it be if he returned, if he did come in?
Well, it's anything's possible with your team. I mean, right now your team's poised to not do 100% well, as you just said. So the sky is the limit. So who knows, man? We'll
hmm
see. Time will tell. So
So yeah, with
that's
the World
cool.
Juniors starting, Canada I believe started off with a win last night
Hmm.
and 5-2 victory over Latvia, and currently I believe they're 8-1 in the second.
Yeah, I have it open here, and it says that they're open. They are 8-1 right now, leading a 16-50 in the third right now. And McTavish has got 3 goals and 2 assists right now. So that kid's
Oh
on
wow.
fire right now. That's impressive. I mean, I don't know too much about this team and this kind of stuff per se. I got to get into it, but anyway, that's where it sits right now. Huh.
Yeah, and the other game of the day was I believe it was Finland and Czech Republic, and the Finns won in the shootout.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah, they have.
It's
Let's see here. Oh, sorry about that. Canada's now 9-1. They just scored again. Oh man. Anyway,
poor Slovaks.
poor Slovaks. Sad that it's the way it goes sometimes, eh? So
Well,
anyway.
unfortunately, they don't have two of their top prospects on that team in Slavkovsky and Mezar. Both of them decided to skip because they're
Oh
more
no.
focused on Montreal, and the other one's focused on OHL.
Well, it's their prerogative, right? They don't have to join if they don't want to. I mean, how many do you think they've already been in? Right, a couple of them, I'm sure, at least one or two.
Uh, I don't know because this is the U20 tournament, right? They may have been in the
Right.
UA18 ones, but not the
Oh,
U20.
okay. Maybe not this one. Okay, that's fair. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, the Swiss are playing the United States at 10 o'clock tonight Eastern, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, because the
I've
tournament's in Edmonton.
right. I believe, in my opinion, the U.S. should win, but the U.S. is a pretty strong team.
Should
So, but doesn't mean they're going to.
should and when it's there's a should and then there's it doesn't happen. It happens all the time in sports. That's the beauty of it.
That's true. Oh, absolutely. We know it all too well. So, what other big news is? What else do we have here with the? What do you got going on there with this year? Trying to see if there's anything else going on that's big news with the Worlds there. With says here, should Shane Wright have
No,
played with
there's
the
the
World Juniors? Right.
yeah, he did skip out as well. That's another one.
Hmm. Yeah.
I honestly, with the question like that, I would say no, he shouldn't. He's supposed to. He's a top prospect for a team, an organization, and they expect him to be on the roster this year. Having him play this tournament and then having him to go to training camp, it's too much. It might actually get seriously injured.
Absolutely. And I don't. And once you're drafted, as far as I'm concerned, you're property of that team, and then you're basically, yeah, as you mentioned, why would you go? Like you're more focused on getting ready for the NHL rather than or the AHL or whatever decision they want you in. So I agree
Yeah,
with that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And once you sign a contract, they tell you what to do. It's no longer
No.
you can just decide to do it.
Yeah.
You
That's
are
right.
you're an insurance policy now.
Yeah. No, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah. No kidding. Okay.
But yes, is that question I would say no, he shouldn't be there, and it's probably best for him, especially like I said, when your goal is to make the team with a tournament that's close to training camp, you're gonna get hurt, and you're gonna get hurt bad from fatigue.
Oh yeah. And there's traveling involved, and absolutely. Yeah.
It's
No.
just it's too much hockey, especially when with these kids who aren't used to 80 game seasons to begin with. Most of them
No.
play 60 game and less, depending what league you're in.
Right.
So you're gonna add a tournament and a training camp onto 82 games?
Yeah. It's not fair to them. It's too much.
No.
The bodies can't handle, even though they're kids. They're still human beings, and that's a lot to
If
ask for in a very short order, right?
fatigue is
So
fatigue. It
yes,
doesn't matter
exactly.
how old you get. Fatigue hits you.
Right. Exactly. Who do you think's going to win it? What's your thoughts?
Um, it's probably going to be a Canada, Russia, or U.S. again because
Okay.
that seems to be the three big ones right now.
Hmm.
The
Okay.
Finns are the Finns used to be a powerhouse, but they seem to be losing that edge recently.
Right. Okay. I'm a homer for this. I'll say Canada's going to win it, but that's just me. But I'm not going to count out the United States or some of the European teams. I mean, the European teams have been coming up and coming for a number of years now. So, and let's be honest, most of them are coached by Canadians anyway. So, or the United States, but their systems are quite similar to ours. So, anyway.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, a
Hmm.
lot of the Canadian coaches or ex NHL coaches are now going out there just
Yeah,
to teach them hockey. And every chance they get, the Canadian guys who don't make the NHL, they're grabbing them and pulling them in to show them Canadian hockey.
that's
So
right.
those countries are now playing Canadian hockey.
Hmm. Well, there you go. So I mean, uh, even though they don't play for another country, they're playing for another nation. They're still learning our style and all that stuff. So it's interesting to see that aspect of it. But yeah, like I said,
Prime
my numbers on Canada, but that's just me.
a prime example is Craig Ramsey. Look what he's doing with I think is it the Latvian program?
I don't know. I think so,
Yeah,
possibly.
yeah. He's like the head coach of the national team out there. They love him so much.
Well, if he's making them relevant and playing well, why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. Oh, there we
All
go.
right.
So that's pretty nice.
We can turn our attention a little bit to some MLB
All right.
since
Major League Baseball. What's going
that's the
on in
one
baseball?
true league that's full on going.
That's right. Yes. We should focus a little more on this one because the Blue Jays are in a very, very hot, contentious playoff run right now, and they made some deals over the trade deadline, but by the same token, they are in a tight race. So we'll have to see. But what do you have for
I
that right now?
I believe they also added a free agent signing the other day too.
Yes, they did. Yes, I believe
Um,
you pointed out to me. You mentioned that before.
yeah, they had picked up was it Bradley
Yes, Bradley Jr. I
Bradley
believe is
Jr.
his name. Yeah.
Yeah, from the Sox had let him go and he signed with them as a free agent.
Right. Now, what position does he play? I don't know much about Bradley Jr.
Uh, I know he's a fielder. But give me 1 second.
Infielder, outfielder, I'm not sure, but he's basically the Jays are trying. They're going to go for it, obviously. I mean, why not, right? I mean, it's going to be almost impossible to beat the Yankees, as
Yeah,
in trying to catch them. They're just too far ahead.
Jackie Bradley Jr. center field.
Center fielder. Okay. Cool. Good.
JBJ.
JBJ.
That's his nickname.
Yeah. Like it says here on TSN Overdrive here, it says their wild card race could come down to the wire now. As we mentioned in a previous episode, um, they have a new wild card spot for both leagues. So there's now 12 teams in, which is good. I mean, it's always nice to add an extra playoff team on each side, and 12, it's an even more, I don't know, just gives a little more excitement. So I don't know. We'll see what they do. Um, what do you think about the overall leagues themselves? Like who's
I I,
who's going to
I
basically be where
do.
they are?
Well, one thing I do really like is the introduction of the DH on the NL side.
Yeah.
That I think was great, and I think pitchers are happier with that too because is getting strenuous on them.
Right. Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
well, now when it comes to both leagues, I'm not counting out the Dodgers ever, or the
Yeah. Right.
Basically, it's always the same teams there. It's the Cardinals, the Dodgers, and now the Braves
Hmm.
seem to be back.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, the Braves. Let's be honest. Alex Anthopoulos has done a good job with the Braves, and he was always a good GM. He always played a little Russian roulette there with the Blue Jays once upon a time. But the thing is, he did get a couple great seasons out of that and some post run. But he's built a good team. He's always been good at it. So I didn't unexpect that Atlanta wouldn't be a force. So now they're a force again. So
He made the Cleveland Guard when they were the Indians at the time. He made
mhm.
the Jays be
Yep.
relevant. He made the Guard be relevant. He's making the Braves relevant again.
Right. Right.
He knows how to build,
Oh, absolutely.
but
100%.
as most GMs do, like with the as you said with the Jays, he tried the Russian roulette. He really gambled a little too hard on, I think, too much.
Well, and he felt that maybe the team was ready to make that push, and they did. I mean, they did try to beat the Guardian, and they just couldn't do it. And obviously, the Royals were just too strong for them. But they did make
Yes.
a
Well,
run.
the
They did
Royals
give everybody a lot of good baseball, so it was nice to
weren't the
watch.
Royals like a championship around that time?
They won. They won that year, if
Yeah,
I'm not mistaken. They beat that team was the
yeah.
one that beat the Jays. They went on to win the whole thing. So
They were ridiculous that year.
yeah. So right now, just to let you know, I've got the American League open here. We'll go through it all. So I'm just going to share my screen. Oops. Sorry about that, folks. Share the screen. But anyway, basically, there we go. So you have your Houston, New York, and your Cleveland that are winning the American League. They're leading their divisions right now.
There's no
Jays,
surprise there in any of the
no.
leagues.
And as the usual, so now, as you mentioned earlier, Baltimore is now entered into the foray. Now they're right behind Tampa. They're right with Tampa now. You got Seattle, of course, which is they're always a perennial wild card team
They're
anyway.
only 3 games back of the Jays, aren't they?
They're not far. No, they're 1.5 back, and two, and their Jays are -2 or like that. So there's 4 teams, 5 teams actually. You can even throw the White Sox in there too. They're only 3 games back as well. They're right in the thick of it. So you've got a 6 team race here right now. And even the Red Sox you
Yeah,
could throw in, even though right now at 5 games back, that's getting a little far
they're
back. That's
they're a long shot, but they're still
yeah.
alive technically.
Well, they're alive, but you basically have to hope for 4 teams ahead of you to lose, like in massive losing streaks, and
But
they're all going to play each other anyway. So
I would say from the Sox up to the Jays, anything is possible at this moment in time.
it's a very, very deep wild card race, and we haven't seen that in a very long time. Sometimes it's been close, but not like this. This is really good. And in the NL here, I mean, of course, the standard three
But
there.
usually
I
when it's
mean, now
close, it's only been like 2 teams, not between 3 or 4 teams.
or 5 in this case. Yeah, exactly. So you have your Dodgers,
Whereas
your
here, it's
Mets.
already
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
this one's basically set already. Look at the wild card.
right.
Oh, 1 game out.
Yeah, and
There's
then
only
you've
one
got
team in that wild card race. The San Francisco's out.
yeah, yeah, exactly. They're very far behind. So
Milwaukee's the only team.
Milwaukee, Milwaukee Brewers are the only team. But anywho, yeah, you got Milwaukee, San Diego, Philly, and Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta's a pretty strong club. Philly got a big boost when they picked up Syndergaard in that trade. So
Yeah,
at the trade deadline, that was a good pickup. I thought maybe the Blue Jays would hop in and get their pick back, but I guess they chose not to. But
they
he's going to
didn't. They
be,
didn't go for a. They didn't go for a starter. They only got relief pitching.
yeah, that's it. They got
I thought.
relief, and then,
I
yeah,
thought they
that
would
was
have
their
gone
big
after
thing.
at least one more starter because I thought they were looking for at least one more.
I thought so too, but apparently I guess they didn't. So anyway, that's basically the rundown of the league right now. That's the snapshot. So we'll keep an eye on this as we keep going, right? So, but yeah, and it's going to heat up even more. So, and they're a 10 game over 500 team right now, the Jays. So That's pretty good. So anyway, so that's baseball. I think. I don't know if there's any. What else do you have? What's going on else wise? What do you think?
Um, I was for I was gonna look at a couple of new signings. I think there's a
Hmm.
few teams they were saying that are just waiting for confirmation, but contracts are already done.
Yeah, we also have
I
some
believe
comments that
the
are coming up
Islanders.
too. Yeah,
Okay, perfect. Um,
sorry about that.
I was just gonna say them, and we can check the comments.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I know the Islanders. Kevin Weeks is saying there's 4 transactions that they're pretty much done right now. Kadri file apparently is pretty much done. 7 for 7 is what they're saying. 7 or seven
Hmm,
and a half for 7 years.
really?
Yeah. They're saying Noah Dobson is locked up already, and Romanov is finally locked up for them. And they have one trade in place for either Beauvillier or Josh Bailey to free up cap space for the Kadri deal.
Yeah, we're going to do something.
Yeah. But I can see that being a good fit because Kadri really liked Lou in Toronto.
He did. Yes, I can admit that as a Leafs fan watching the whole thing transpire. Lou. I think was pretty in Kadri's corner. I mean
I think
the
that's where a lot of the creative differences came.
yeah, it's possible. Yeah,
Because Lou likes that old, gritty, tough, in-your-face guys, and Dubas has moved completely away from that.
yeah. Dubas is trying to make the team more of a Tampa
It's
style
a skill
skill
base.
speed team. Yeah, and that's what it's been now for a little while. But they've removed guys like Kadri. Now, in hindsight, I mean, hindsight, as we always say, is 2020. I mean, for a guy who was making $4 million on Toronto at the time, and he was the third line center, I mean, would you put Kadri alongside Kerfoot, which I mean that was the trade with Tyson Berry put in there? I mean, if you rank the two trades,
It's also
obviously
in
Kadri,
hindsight. In
you know,
hindsight, you could look at it this way too: moving JT to the wing, which they
well, I
had planned
think
to do anyway.
Al, I think that's the plan going forward. They've mentioned that a lot in the websites and stuff I've watched and read, that the idea would be move JT to the wing and then bring in another center, because I guess JT right now has been working extremely hard this summer to improving his speed. Now, whether that's leaning down and getting physically more fit, but not like bulk, I
Mhm.
don't know what JT is going to look like John Tavares is going to look like come October. But they're saying that if he's working that hard on his speed, that sounds like a move to the wing, right? Wouldn't that make sense to you?
But wouldn't it look so much better if you had Kadri beside him
Oh,
now
well, of course. Now, I
instead
mean,
of
let's
Kerfoot and the Barry catastrophe?
yeah. Well, Kerfoot himself has not been a terrible player for Toronto for the price they pay him.
But
Three and a
he's
half.
not a great centerman though.
No, but
He's better as a winger.
well, that's it. We're turning a whole bunch of centermen into a bunch of wingers. Like Nylander is a winger, but in reality, Nylander was a centerman.
Marner was
So
a center too.
Marner was a center once upon a time too. So, I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say. Lou, I mean, I don't want to judge per se what has happened since with Lou and Dubas, because they have two different minds, two different worlds. It's hard to say. I mean, Toronto is who they are now. My only question with them is obviously goaltending. You know, but that we can go into another time, maybe
Lou is
closer to the
also
season. But
Lou's also a person who likes veterans, whereas
yes,
Dubas doesn't seem to
yes.
like many veterans on his roster.
Well, he tried the veteran route. He brought Joe Thornton. He brought
No,
in
well,
Simmons.
like
He's brought in,
I find he does have a couple, but
yeah.
it's the problem is the gap. The age gap is way different. Like with
Oh,
Lou, with what I mean with Lou is he'll have his 20-year-old group, his 29 or 27 to 32 group, and then his old man group. Where
right.
you guys seem to be like really young and really old.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no in
yeah, yeah.
there's
There's
no
no
in
middle.
between.
Yeah, there's no middle. No, that's true. Yeah, but whenever you don't have enough money to cover the players, that a lot of other teams can get.
Oh,
Those
I get that.
mid
I get that.
20s to early 30s, they have some, but they're not.
Those are the ones
You're
that get
right.
expensive at that age.
There is a bigger gap, right?
There's an age gap, is what I mean by that.
Yeah, there is
So
true, but I mean, yes,
it's harder to pass down the message when you got
right.
grandpa telling grandchild.
Well, it's the other thing too, as we as we saw with Joe Thornton at the beginning, he always demanded the ice time more, right? So then Keefe had to give him the ice time because of who he was, and there's been a lot of chatter that that was a big hindrance to Toronto because of the fact that certain like power play. To be honest, they didn't make any sense to put him on the power play. The man, he's 40. He was 40 years old at the time, or 41. Like
He was
in
41.
hockey, yeah, like
He's a
that's
dinosaur
in
in
hockey,
hockey.
yes. In hockey, yeah, he's on his way. Most guys don't even get that far.
Somehow
So,
he managed to go another year after that.
right. And what? Not even 10 games into the season, he gets hurt with his ribs. And then he's out for like 15. So,
Mhm.
I just think,
I don't even think he played a playoff game this year for Florida. He was
no, he
scratched the
didn't.
whole time.
No, he was scratched the whole time.
Healthy
So, I
scratch.
mean, yeah. So, there's a comment here. I will bring it up. I mean, according to this fellow or whoever wrote this, Habs will make a playoff run before the Leafs. So, thanks for the comment and the laugh. It's true. It could happen. I don't think so.
Wait. Time out. Did we
What?
not already?
Don't go there. Don't do that.
I'm just
Don't,
saying.
don't piss me off, Typhoon.
It's already happened.
Well, it did. Yes, you're right. And we will. That one still hurts. It's going to sting for, I don't know, 50 years. But anyway. Because
Any more
the next time we see each other in the playoffs, we'll be probably retired by then. So to get against each other, I don't think we're going to see it often. But
Maybe in the
took
next
40
few years.
took 40 years to get there.
Yeah, but being a top 3 division team, it's
Yeah.
more possible now.
Yes, but it hasn't happened. It only happened the one time in my lifetime. So anyway,
Yeah, it's the last time it happened was 79.
Yeah, no, I wasn't born yet. So so just to see here, I'm gonna go over, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go over a little bit. There's some stuff in the NHL that we should discuss, or at least make a bring point. Since we're talking about the Leafs and everything else and Habs and all that. So Robin Lehner, according to TSN, will miss the entire season next year. Apparently he's getting hip surgery. So you were saying before we came on that there's chatter that there might be talk between Montreal and Vegas for Allen.
Yep.
Is that true?
Well, Allen is a hot topic right now.
Right.
There is already talk that 3 or 4 teams already came forward. Actually, this is documented. Before the draft, Toronto asked about Allen.
Yeah, he did, and then Nyes was supposed to go back.
The ask was Nyes, so clearly either
not happening, bro. Not happening.
I know that. I believe Hughes did that offer
he did it on purpose
because he wasn't willing to give it away.
Yeah, he wasn't going to give away his guy. I mean, let's be honest, he needs him. So
because we still don't know about Price now. No. This might come circle back if they are interested in Allen. It might circle back at camp when Montreal knows more about Price.
Well, this is it
because they still have Montembeault for 2 years.
Right, the Montembeault is their insurance policy.
If Price can play 50 games, Montembeault can play 32.
Right, and that's why they signed him, right?
Yes.
So what else do we have? So we have Pacioretty has surgery. So a lot of injury report coming out. I don't know what happened there. He blew his Achilles. Apparently, he's out 6 months.
You know how much I love Max Pacioretty.
Oh yeah, I was surprised you didn't have a poster on the back of your wall there.
Max Patio Ready, actually. Sorry.
Yeah.
But hearing about the Achilles tendon, really, I felt it personally. I felt it because I tore mine.
Right.
And it's funny because they were talking about this on TSN 690 between Sean Campbell and Mitch Gallo. And Mitch Gallo's like, why is he always hurt in the offseason? He did this in Montreal constantly. And Sean Campbell's like, oh, slow down, Gallo. He goes, the man is a family man. He has like 5 children. Yeah. So he's playing with his kids in the summertime. So and then while they're talking about this, my thought was, I'm like, just because you're rich doesn't mean you have to go on extreme adventures all the time.
Right.
But yeah, apparently he's a very family man and he gets hurt because he's playing with his kids constantly.
Hmm. Wow. Hey, I mean that's cool that he does that, and that's the way it should be. I mean, it is the off season, and I mean, when you dedicate what 11 months of your life, or 12 months, or 10 months of your life to hockey, I mean, you should have a little downtime with your children. So I can
Yeah,
understand that.
especially
So
if you
good
have
for him.
5 of them.
Well, this is it. They got to see their dad at some point. Like
He's got his first top. He's got his starting lineup at home.
that's what I mean. So yeah. So exactly. So we got us some other things here. We have
But
Gustafson
yeah,
on the
that
Jets. Yeah. What's that?
you know what? Um, it's kind of funny because Carolina was going to have to pay like that was a 1 year $7 million contract or whatever.
Hmm.
Well, now they have LTIR for 6 months for 7 million,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
they do.
they traded future considerations for him.
Nice.
But the
Yeah.
thing is, I think the other thing is this could be career ending for Pacioretty. He's almost 34 years old.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
It's not something easy to
Achilles
come
is
back from.
hard, man. Achilles is hard.
Well,
It's true.
especially at that age, as you do it older, you don't
Right.
heal as fast as you did as a kid.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Exactly. So we have. So what else do we have here? We have look like Zaka's got a 1 year deal with the Bruins.
The Bruins went out and signed a trio.
Yeah. So what did they sign? They signed
Well,
Zaka, obviously.
they signed Zaka. They signed Krejci to an amazing contract. It's 2.5 million
Hmm.
plus performance bonuses up to like 4.5.
Wow.
And then they did the
Krejci.
same thing with he came decided to come back for 1 year.
Okay.
And Bergeron, it's a 5 million. It can be a 5 million AAV,
Hmm.
but it's actually a like $2.5 million contract with performance bonuses. But they're obviously they want him to have the money because one of those performance bonuses is play 10 games next season.
Okay. That's quite the bonus. Just put on your skates for 10 games and we'll give you money. Okay.
But the beauty of those two contracts is they have the AAV is like 5 million for Bergeron, and what the AAV is like 4.5 or 3.5 or something for Krejci.
Right.
But if their performance bonuses don't max out to the deal, they can
Mhm.
just revert that salary to next year. The remaining salary on that cap, they can just throw it to
Well,
next year.
welcome
So
to a
it's
new
like
trend. It's a new trend in the NHL then.
you'll see it with the over 35s, I'm sure.
Guaranteed.
The over
Guaranteed.
35, you're going to see performance bonus contracts constantly now. It's going to be the
Yeah.
new trend.
Well, and I don't disagree with that. I think that's a good idea. It gives
I think
people
all
more
contracts
incentive.
should be performance bonus incentive.
Well, the NFL's got the best setup in my
That,
opinion, but
that's why they have an X amount of guaranteed saying you're not
yeah,
getting this if you don't do this.
that's right. And why should the owner pay? Why should the owner pay to a player if you don't perform? Right?
I paid you for 13 touchdowns. You gave me 6.
Yeah,
You're only getting
exactly.
half.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's the thing with that idea. So the NHL, I mean, I don't think they'll ever adopt that, but they
That's a hard
do. So
that's a hard thing to adopt, especially with
well,
players in a mindset. How can you take guaranteed money off the table from these
well,
players?
it's been
You're
around
gonna have
too
to
long.
if you're taking guaranteed money off the table, you're not signing anyone for less than 20 million a year.
No, so not at all. No.
No, there's no way.
Yeah.
These
No,
guys
I
are gonna
did.
they're gonna want to make money. And good luck bringing any
Absolutely.
of them to Canada. Any of them.
Yeah. I talk about the Calgary Flames. They know all about that right now. So
Yeah.
so we have some sad news. Boreas Salming of the Maple Leafs, he was diagnosed just yesterday or the day before with ALS. So if anyone, I mean, most people know who Boreas Salming are. Some may not because if they're younger viewers, but he was a player on Toronto for many years. He was a really, really great player. He even has a statue in front of the
Legend.
ACC now. He's a legend, yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, I never got to see him play. I only know him through name. I don't never watched him play because I was too
Through
young
video.
or not
Through
around. Yeah,
video.
YouTube video, all that stuff. So it's sad that he's got ALS. I mean, ALS is a can be a pretty rapid disease or a slow, but it doesn't take long. And hopefully, Mr. Salming can have a reasonably good life until the symptoms become too much for him. But we'll have to see what happens. But Just very sad. Everybody, a lot of posts were coming up throughout my feeds and the NHL. Everybody was just offering their sympathies in a way for him and hoping the best for him, obviously, as much as we would too here on our group here. I mean, no one wants to see that kind of news, but it does happen. But hopefully he can, like I said, live a good life as long as he can. Right?
Best to him and his family, for sure.
Absolutely. Excuse me. Absolutely. And so I think, let's just see here. There's also another piece of news, just one last piece here, I think, with the NHL for now. And it's a question. And it says, should Matthews be the next captain before the contract for Tavares is up? Now, I don't think that should
I don't
happen
see it
yet.
happening.
Well, I don't necessarily see it happening. I just don't think it's right. Like, this man signed with Toronto for 7 years at the time.
He still has 4 or 5 years left. You can't take his C away after just giving it to him.
You can't take the C away, and why would you? Like, Matthews is thriving not as a captain. Okay, he's part of the leadership group. Like the Maple Leafs have a leadership group. Okay, like any other team, they have. I believe Riley's one. I mean, on the Amazon series, they have these meetings, these leader meetings, and it was Matthews, Marner, Riley, Muzzin, and I think there's one. I think Thornton at the time was one at the time in that game show. Anyway, they have meetings all the time. So just because Matthews doesn't speak to the camera as a captain doesn't mean the guy doesn't have leadership roles within the team. So I think that would be an insult to take that away from Tavares. I mean, that would be wrong in my opinion. I wouldn't do it. I mean, he left money on the table to sign with Toronto instead of going to the Islanders or the San Jose Sharks, who was the other team involved.
12 million.
12 million bucks. So he was going to make even more money with San Jose than Toronto. So, and in the United States, not in Canada. So he doesn't face the tax. Well,
San Jose,
California has high taxes, but I mean, just the tax rates were high. But either or,
you live on the beach.
Wow, did you not tell me that? Like, Brett Burns said, or is it one of the San Jose players
Brett
said?
Burns. It was Burns and Thornton. It was the two of them.
Yeah, they could walk to the arena in their flip flops, like off the beach. So I mean, how can you not like that, right?
And to add to what you're saying, there are also guys who are not wearing a letter because they can't talk to the referee because they say the wrong things and get in trouble.
Absolutely. They choose their captains for a reason. And John Tavares,
you need the guy who can de-escalate with the referee to
right.
favor your side, not a guy who's going to explode at the ref and take 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, well, it's right. That's why Patrick Waugh wasn't captain. Okay, like the guy had a bit of a short fuse. Okay, like, and I don't. Anyway, I just think to even post. I mean, they posted that. Yeah, I just posted that, and yeah, it's small. He, I don't know. I think I mean, it's a question they posted. I just don't agree with it. I think it's wrong.
No,
I don't know why would you even bring that
like
up?
I said, there's also certain guys who don't lead by talking and motivation. They just play. They lead because they score.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Some guys don't want the burden of the letter either because it adds pressure.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, and some guys are just not good at it. They're just not natural leaders. They're followers, or they just want to be the nose to the grindstone player that goes out and plays whatever they do, even if they're stars. Some like let's be honest, Phil Kessel doesn't strike me as a leader. Okay, I mean, no. Guys like him, they just want to go out and play. That's what they want to do.
He's a joker. He's not just a leader. He just wants to play his game, mess around, and go home.
Yeah, well, that's right. He wants to do his job and go.
To this day, I don't know if there's a lot of speculation it's true or not. Prime example, Michel Therrien apparently told a reporter off the record that Max Pacioretty was the worst captain in Habs history, according to him.
No, I mean, Subban. I mean, Montreal. You obviously know more about what happened between Subban, Therrien, and him.
It was Pacioretty. Team Subban versus Team Pacioretty is what it was.
Yeah, you can tell. Like you saw it right in the play, you saw it in their body language,
And pretty
and
much anyone who was Team Subban was gone other than Carey Price.
yeah. And anyway, that was a poor move on Montreal's part, but anyway, that's just how that's how they did it. But anyway, that's in the past, of course. We don't think about that much in the past, but either way, so
And
I
if
don't know.
anyone still wonders who won the Weber Subban trade, I call it a tie. They both went to the finals and lost.
Right.
Plain and
Well,
simple.
look what's going on. Yeah. Hey, well, thinking of controversy and issues, look what's happening with Brooklyn right now. We should talk about that. Isn't that
We can get it
insane?
now. We can get it. Yes, so we can. Let's start off. Let's get into some basketball now. Let's
Yes,
start with
because
the Brooklyn Nets and the colorful Kevin Durant.
yes, we actually have an opinion. There was an actual comment about that before we continue. The comment said they just want to see our opinion on players like Durant trying to run a team. So we should talk about. We'll talk
Well,
about the issue and then we'll give our thoughts. I think.
okay, all right. So the issue is Kevin Durant recently went to the owner and
Right.
gave him an ultimatum of you fire the GM and coach or you trade me. Now,
Right.
the issue with that is he
Yeah.
just signed a max deal.
Well, isn't it
And
true that he actually asked for these two guys?
he
Wasn't it?
asked for, I know for Nash, he asked for specifically to be his coach.
Okay, now he wants him fired. Why?
This,
Why is that? Why would
I,
you? What changed? What changed? You had a year. It was one season, and you're telling me now all of a sudden they want to get rid of him? Like, I anyway. We'll
well,
get into that in a second. But go
now
ahead. What else did you think?
my view of this scenario, my
Hmm.
entire view, I think I told you this yesterday. If a player came to me and said, "You're going to either trade me or fire your coach and GM," I probably would laugh at him because I brought those guys in and you're the player, you're supposed to do what they say. You don't control my team.
No, you
And
don't.
no one is bigger than an organization in my
Right.
mind. I would trade him 100% tomorrow.
Well,
Go away.
you've well, yeah, and my opinions are very similar to yours when it comes to this. I mean, here's what's wrong. This is what's happening to the NBA, and then it's going to happen to other leagues too. I
You
mean, the
signed a
NHL has a little.
contract.
You signed a deal. You agreed with this owner that I want to play here for a number, however long you want, basically, because the contracts, let's be honest, in the NBA are not as solidified as the NHL or anyone,
No.
because they have that opt out stuff and they can get out when they want and I mean, Kevin Durant has paid his dues. He is a great player. I mean, he's a superstar.
But
I'm
you
going to
are
give,
not bigger than an
but
organization.
you're not bigger than an organization. Absolutely. You're an
And
employee of this organization, no
without
different than anyone else.
without Curry, how many championships has he won?
Well, he's a complimentary superstar. He's not a
I,
superstar
but
on his,
that's what I'm
he's not
saying.
a take on his own thing.
Steph Curry's won one without him.
Steph Curry is a leader who takes a team on his
Yes.
back. Kobe Bryant, same thing. Michael Jordan, same thing. Kevin Durant is a great player. However, you haven't won without the other guys.
I
You
actually saw a stat that you mentioned Jordan.
Yeah.
In the 90s, he was 25-1 in the playoffs.
Yeah. The guy was just, well, we both know. We all saw him. We saw him grow
Yeah,
up. Like
I
we
know.
watched him
But
play,
his
right?
in playoff series, it was 25-1 with the Bulls from 91 to 97.
Right. Yeah.
And the
Like
one year they
LeBron.
lost was the team they lost to, right? In the finals?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
The Bulls
Once
played again. Well, it's either the Malone. It was Malone and the Jazz. They played them all the time.
or the Trailblazers were there a lot too at the time,
Wow, they
I
had Clyde
think.
Drexler, and they had those
Yes.
guys, right? Clyde Drexler, and they
Damon
think they
Stoudemire.
Gary Payton, and and then you had
Yeah.
and then of course you had Ray Allen later, or so Ray, it's Ray Allen. Did you the 3-point shooter? Sorry,
Yes, Ray Allen.
yeah, he was one of my favorite players. Anyway, him, and Robert Horry, and then of
But
course the A's later on the
but
Spurs,
yeah,
but
as you were with the Jazz, you had Stockton,
Stockton
Malone,
and Malone, the mailman, and
yeah,
yeah,
and then the
and
other guy,
Stockton,
the Serbian guy there too, I think
yeah.
Stojkovic or something.
Yeah. Well, they also had Ostertag.
That
right?
guy was Greg Ostertag. Yeah,
Greg Ostertag, their centerman, right? No, I remember them very well. Antoine
well,
Carr, I
they
remember
used to
them
make me
all.
so mad because they used to beat the Lakers all the
Yeah,
time. I'm
that's
like,
what I
when are they
mean.
gonna beat
Yeah,
these guys?
and your team wasn't a slouch either. It was a good
No,
team. It was a great team. They didn't have any
but
crappy years.
they couldn't
Not
get
that
through.
many.
They
No,
couldn't get through the Trailblazers
Malone.
and sorry, Jazz all the time. The Jazz and
I
the
know.
Trailblazers stopped them dead in their tracks.
Yeah, I know, and that's the thing. I mean, then to come to the question, like, I just think to come back to what they were asking, like, what gives you the right, or well, who are you to even ask that question? Like, my opinion is you're an employee of the team, as we said. Your job is to produce for this team. We gave you what you wanted. You asked for Steve Nash. You have Steve Nash. Clearly, with Kyrie Irving himself and all the other ego heads we talked about in a previous episode, which there's a ton of them, plus the coach who's an ego head.
How does anyone move in that dressing room with their heads so big?
Well, this is the point. So naturally, there's going to be friction, right? There's just naturally, they're all superstars, and I can't.
This is
Yeah, everybody.
sorry, my forehead.
Yeah,
That's mine. Oh, sorry.
like honestly, how can you? You said before, how do you coach a team like that? It's impossible. I think it's
And they
impossible.
they even brought an ex superstar to try and do it.
What's the other thing? Yeah, guys he's a winner. So I I don't know how it works, but anyway, well, clearly this is getting worse because now he wants to. You have to trade him now. You absolutely have to trade him because he's
I
going
am
to be
not.
like this forever.
I am not. You know what? If you fire anybody and you keep him,
You
you
can't.
are weak and you destroyed the whole league.
You can't. He is going to
No,
be traded. But yes, you're
no, but
right.
he will destroy the whole league and it'll start
A
all over the
precedent.
place. Every team
Yeah,
and
set the precedent. You do
star
not want to. Yeah.
stars will start being the general managers.
Well, this is what's going to happen. I mean, between LeBron and the Lakers, LeBron, as far as I'm concerned, was the pseudo GM of Cleveland for how long,
I have a
right?
feeling when he retires, he may be taking over GM of the Lakers too. Who knows?
Oh, I see him as a builder. I think he's a
Yeah.
builder, and I have no problem with players becoming general managers. In fact, I think their relative knowledge of the game is probably some of the best out there. They play it.
Also, when you have a stature like a guy like a LeBron, your
Yeah.
respect will drive players to come play for you.
Yes, you will say, I'm playing for LeBron's team, therefore I want to win, and he's going to build me a
Yes.
winner. Yeah, absolutely. And guys like LeBron could become like presidents or whatever, like Masai Ujiri in Toronto, and I could see him moving around the league,
Being a
right?
builder. Yeah, I
Being
go
a
here
builder, like
5 years.
build,
I
yeah,
go here
build a
five
team,
years.
win,
Go here
move
five
on.
years.
Yep, move on.
Even if
So
it doesn't win, I built your team. You're competitive. It's time for me to go.
it's time
If
for
you
me
win
to
when I'm
make another
gone,
one.
you win when I'm gone.
Yeah. Like I don't foresee. I think this. My opinion is this is Masai's last contract with Toronto. Like this will
Well,
be his
they
last
need
one.
an honestly. It worked. He won. It's time to go in a different direction and move on. That's
Yeah,
just how it works. That's how sports is. No
right.
one stays forever. Everything changes.
Hmm.
And roughly, honestly, sports is roughly a 5 year turnover. 3 to 5
Right.
years. 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years.
Right. Basically, just so you know, the entire NBA has turned their heads on Durant. Everyone's turned against him for his ultimatum. Everything
The
I'm seeing here on the web right now is saying like all against him.
the only
Unbelievable.
team that wants him is like the 76ers.
Yeah, but that's Philly
You want to
though.
put him and Harden back together? It
Oh
didn't
yeah,
work.
that sounds great. Let's do it. Let's go for it
The
again
whole
and try it again.
I'm pretty sure one of the reasons Harden left there was because of Durant.
Yeah, the two of them couldn't work together. Durant, I
Oh,
don't I don't think either player, to be honest with you, is easy to play like as a teammate. I don't think because Harden is another ego head.
well, he's got the perfect last name for it.
Fair. Well, he's a player again. He's a guy that he's a great player, but again, he doesn't deliver in those playoffs, and I don't know
It's
why.
because I
I
can tell
get
you
it.
why.
Why?
He's a very
Enlighten
me me
me.
me player. He's a very
Yeah.
me 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 player. And the problem you can't bring in other superstars with that guy because it doesn't work.
No.
So when you get to the playoffs, a Mimi player, okay, let's just all mark this guy. He's never passing the ball anyway.
No, and he doesn't.
And when he does pass the ball, those guys aren't top scoring, top talent basketball players because it's all about him. It's the Harden show.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
like I said, in the playoffs, you double cover that guy and he can't do anything.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
The Harden show is stopped.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Harden show is, we'll see what happens to him, but.
And that's the thing too. Like in these guys are getting older. These are all over 30 basketball players, superstars.
Well, that's what I mean. These superstars are aging. They're on their way out. This is the next gen that's leaving, and then the newest gen's coming in now. So Durant's obviously trying to force what he wants, but I don't know, man. I just don't know. I think it's wrong. Like, where do you come off as this? But
I find basketball has way too much leniency when it comes. Like, I understand they want their players to be able to talk freely, do everything freely, but this is too far. Even the players union should step in on this one because he has no authority to ever ask for any management's head.
No, he's crossed the line.
Yes, this is too
close to the sun. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I think we should just wrap up the NBA there. So, so what do you think about NFL? Maybe want to go NFL and take a look around.
We got preseason starting this weekend, don't we?
Yeah. Yes, we do. Yeah, preseason already started, if I'm not mistaken. Well, there's a few games that have gone on, and yeah.
There is talk that Deshaun Watson will play his first preseason game because of the appeal. He's not officially suspended yet.
Right. Okay. Cool.
And that Cleveland did say today as well, I read, that if Deshaun Watson is suspended, they are going to pursue Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, now, what is going on with the 49ers? Now, why do they want to move Garoppolo? Do they have somebody else willing to take over that's better than him, or what is it?
I don't fully understand, because to me,
I don't understand it.
Is it his playoffs that he can't deliver?
Well, he's in a tough division. He's in a tough area too. Like, people have to give that a chance. But
I know, but wasn't it like the last few times in the playoffs that it was a team they should have beaten and they lost?
Mm-hmm. Well, look at the Green Bay Packers. Look at my team. It's the same problem. They can't get past the conference final. They just can't get past it. They always hit this wall. They do well. They play they've done it 3-4 years in a row. Rodgers and them will go along fine. They look like a great football team, and then all of a sudden they get to the door of the Super Bowl, and it just like they completely forgot how to play, or they just get smothered. And I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. But comes to Garoppolo, maybe that's what it is. It's got to be something about him, because they're clearly interested in moving him. They've made it abundantly clear that they'll move him. So I don't know.
Yeah, I find it, like I said, I find it strange. I don't think he's that bad of a quarterback.
No,
and
I don't think so
he's
either.
played great for them.
Yep. So go ahead. I got something here for the Steelers, but anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, with them, we'll find out with Garoppolo. Let's be honest. I mean, we're not going to know until whatever they decide. But according to this, and you're not going to like it, Steelers to start Trubisky over Rudolph and Pickett in the season opener.
It doesn't surprise me, because they're all terrible.
Well, it's the preseason.
I don't know much about Pickett. Yeah, well, it's preseason. I totally saw him starting over Mason Rudolph, the dude.
Wow.
He's the size of Ben, so I'm like, oh, this guy could throw. No, he throws bubbles, just floaters. And it's intercepted every time. I'm like, dude, throw the ball. Throw the ball.
It's just little light ones.
You're not playing 500 up. Throw the ball.
Yeah, like actually launch it. Get it down the field.
Shotgun.
Yeah. Downfield. Not just 20 yards. How about 60 yards? Right?
And the thing is also, I know that currently they know what they got in Rudolph. They know what they have. They know what he is. He is what he is. Pickett, he's just young. You're gonna start the other guy who is likely to be one of your main quarterbacks, unfortunately, this year. So you need to see if he can actually do what we got him to do, and he can read the plays.
Right. Yeah. Well, they gotta try them. They have to see what they have. I mean, they're not going to just say, "Oh, well, he's not playing." No, they have to. They don't have Ben anymore. They have to play him. So.
And yeah, the other just so you know, the other quarterback in San Fran that they're starting over is that Trey Lance guy.
Okay. So maybe they feel Lance is better. Maybe they want to try him again. I don't know. Lots of different things going on here in the NFL. I'm taking a look here right now. Lots of, like injuries and different things with different teams. They have a whole wide range of stuff about like they actually for what. So apparently the Broncos and the Cowboys had a joint practice, and apparently it was productive but chippy.
How
It's a
do you do a
different thing.
joint practice?
I had no
You're
idea.
just
Apparently
telling the
they
other team
did.
your plays. But you're
Well,
telling the other team your plays.
I don't know. That's what they said here. It says here, although both teams hailed as a productive day, the Cowboys joint practice with the Broncos at times resembled an undercard of the Octagon instead of a prelude of Saturday night's preseason opener. Oh boy.
You know what? Though
Tempers flared a bit. Yeah.
You know what? It's a nice storyline to have to go into the season, especially if
Yeah.
they have a game early in the year.
Well, Dak Prescott and Wilson, so yeah.
Oh
well,
yeah,
that's different.
Russell.
Keep
so
remembering
weird
he's not in Seattle
Russell
anymore.
Wilson. I know, but it's so weird as a Denver Bronco. Who saw that coming?
Know. Nobody. At least I didn't. You didn't. None of
No,
most people didn't. So
I can honestly, it's weird seeing Russell Wilson in anything but Seahawks.
Well, this is it, right? It'd be like seeing Rodgers with the Steelers,
or
like,
Drew Brees in a different uniform.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but it's what it is.
John Elway in a Packers uniform.
Yeah, Raiders uniform, or
oh man,
or well, no, but old Raiders, not current Raiders. I'm talking Oakland Raiders.
Yeah. No, I know.
No. I'm talking like
not the Oakland Raiders, but no, not the Oakland Raiders, but the Oakland Raiders.
The other Oakland Raiders. The LA Raiders or the Oakland Raiders, whatever. No, I just it's good that they went to Las Vegas.
Well,
good for them.
There was a movie that made fun of that basketball. It said the Oakland Raiders moved to LA and then back to Oakland. No one in LA seemed to notice.
Well, look at St. Louis. Same thing. St. Louis had an NFL team. Then they lost it. They got it back, and then lost it again.
Yeah, well, they moved to LA.
The Rams, yeah.
Yeah, and they moved to LA and then moved back to St. Louis, win a championship, and then lose the team again.
Yeah, Dick Vermeil was the coach of that team.
Yeah. And lose it back to LA.
So lose it back to the Los Angeles Chargers again. What is with the NFL and moving their teams, man? Like, honestly?
And it's not like in the NHL we're like, oh, we're losing money here. They're like, nah, just move it. It's fun.
At least we think anyway.
Yeah. We need a new home. We need a home. Yeah. Let's just move it.
Well, that's what they use sometimes as their thing, right? So they use it as a tactical advantage to get them a new a building constructed. They do that. So we'll move the team over here because they've got a building. Yeah. So
there's also a question here: who will start at QB for the Steelers?
Yeah. I was just seeing that as well. So
it's going to be. Well, I think this is the first time that Tomlin may have a losing record in his career.
Yeah, but he's bound to have that. Yeah. I don't know, man.
It just shows you how good of a coach he really is. If he's never had one in this long, he's been with the Steelers since like 05, 06.
Right.
And he's never had a losing record.
Exactly. And I don't know. He's a great coach. I mean, we all know how good he was. He's got one Super Bowl under his belt. So,
I think he was also.
He was, I think, a coordinator.
O-line coach. I think, he was the O coach of the Buccaneers when they won back in 03.
Yes, he was. Yeah, pretty sure he was. Mm-hmm. His name was brought up because of that. I think he's got one as an actual head coach, and he's got one when they won way back.
'08 was when they won
Yeah, and I remember watching
the
that,
Super
that
Bowl.
Super Bowl. Yeah,
That was against Arizona?
yep, yeah, I
Mister
remember that.
Mister Fitzgerald, Larry Fitzgerald carried Zona on his back that year all the way to the finals.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that should be it for tonight. I mean, we pretty much covered all the main ones. I mean, what are your general
Actually,
thoughts about? What do you have? Do you have something else?
I was just gonna say, for all those who didn't know or are aware, the big leagues in soccer around the world kicked off this last weekend. I just want to let everyone know.
Yeah. Well, is
Um,
there anything you want to add to soccer? We can bring that in just before we go.
um,
Is there anything out the
just
ordinary
well,
that maybe that's
well,
sticking out?
actually, I was gonna say yeah too. The reason it started so early this year actually is because of the World Cup.
Hmm.
Because it's in Dubai this year. Um, and sorry, it's in Qatar. My bad. Excuse me. It's in
Guitar, okay.
Qatar. It's too hot. So,
It's hot down there. Yeah,
and an actual in league soccer a couple of years ago, a player physically died from heat exhaustion in the
right,
country, and it rose a bunch of uproar in the world. It also rose uproar because of the treatment of women religiously.
right. Okay,
They didn't want to do it there, but they figured out ways to do it. They're going to do it in the wintertime. It angered a lot of leagues because that's when they play their leagues. So they decided we're not going to interfere with our leagues. We'll just start a bit earlier to get some games in, and then we have a little break, and then continue on after the World Cup. But with this tournament being in winter, they also made apparently in Qatar stadiums with air conditioning, indoor stadiums.
well, you don't want anyone more dying on the field. Like, my God, or
Or
having fan.
fans.
I
The
was gonna
last thing you
say,
need
or
is a
fans
group of
going like,
fans to pass out.
excuse me. Exactly. Well, this is gonna happen, right? So,
Hmm. So,
yeah.
but World Soccer kicked off.
Okay.
Man U got an upset loss this weekend over a lower club. It didn't look good on them.
No.
No.
Are
Liverpool
there?
almost lost their opener too. They were down 1-0. I think. Yeah, they were down 1-0, 2-0, or 2-1. It was 1-0, and then they tied it, and then 2-1, I think, and then they tied it late. But yeah, it's been an exciting start to the English Premier League for some, because these lower clubs have been surprising these big clubs, and it's
Right.
always fun to watch when the little guys can pull those big wins off. Like a few years ago in England, Leicester and Southampton shocked the world, being like 1-2 in that league, and the odds of Leicester winning the championship were like, I think it was like 1,000,000 to 1 or something like that at the start of the year.
Right.
It was just
Wow.
impossible.
No.
And they didn't just win the league; they won it by like 4 points.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Crazy.
So that was very fun to watch. Like, it's always fun to see parity, and I'm finding
Hmm.
in soccer these days you're seeing a lot more parity.
Well, that's what the leagues want, right? Including all the big four. They all want parity. I mean, as much as some fans don't care for it, some fans love it. I'm a little. I'm like, good teams are good and other teams aren't, but that's just my
It,
opinion.
it
But
draws money.
well, that's the almighty dollar bill, right? That's how it goes. So the more money, the more playoffs, the more people watch, the more they get interested. So they get
And
more people to watch,
the
so more money in their pocket.
last thing I was to say about the EPL was there's talk that Ronaldo wants to leave Man United already.
Wow. Okay, that's a big name.
Yes,
Okay, like that's
I
probably
think
the biggest name, but yeah.
I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know what he plans to do, but I for some reason see a MLS visit very soon in his career because of his
Mhm.
age.
Oh yeah.
And
Wow.
in the MLS, he can still look like a superstar,
Right.
and it will draw beaucoup dollars.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, Ronaldo? Oh my God. It's like I said, it's
And
like when Beckham showed up in North America, right?
well, I'm curious because I remember about 10 years ago, there was talk that when Ronaldo's done in Europe, he had bought a house in Trump Towers in New York.
Right.
And the talk was that the investment there is when he's done in Europe, that's where he's going to play for New York City FC.
Huh. Okay. Well, there you go. He could
and
come to America, so we'll see.
New York or LA is the only places I see, or Miami.
All right.
Those are the I don't see him anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't either. No, I'm just seeing here. Just one more thing from my side
Sure.
is the Live Tour. More news coming from that. So that story is continuing to spiral and change every day, it seems. And
Did you
the
hear about the LPGA Tour?
no, what's happened with
Uh,
them?
they're okay. First of all, this tournament, the biggest argument is the treatment of women and stuff like that, right? Because it's
Right.
sponsored by Saudis.
The Saudis, you're right.
Yeah. Uh, the LPGA Tour is like, if they come calling, we're going because of how poorly we're treated and our pay is not up to par.
Hmm. Really
Yeah.
interesting.
So I guess that argument of the treatment of women doesn't apply anymore because when
Well,
the almighty dollar comes calling.
well, it's calling a lot of players right now, but one player that actually turned it down, and I reported that in the one of the updates we did earlier this week or the week before, and it has to be talked about, is that Tiger Woods was approached by Greg Norman, who became the CEO of Live. He was asked to come out of retirement, basically. Now, as anyone who's watched golf, Greg Norman was a really high name back in the 80s and 90s. He
That's a
was
bit. Yeah,
he was a very big star. Anyway, he ended up retiring. He's, as they get older, they do other things. Anyway, Liv approached him, became the CEO. So he approached Tiger Woods to ask him to leave the PGA and go to theirs. Apparently, the sum of money was between 600 and 800 million dollars. That's what they were going to offer Tiger Woods to leave the PGA. And Tigers respectively looked at them and said, "No, thank you. I'm
so, but
staying
you
with
know
the
what?
PGA."
He doesn't have to make money though. That man has made more money than probably all of that what they said.
Well, yes, absolutely. But I also think it's an integrity thing too. And I think that like, the Tiger Woods was
His
made by the PGA Tour. Okay. The PGA Tour made this man. He ran that. He was the ambassador and he still is, even though he's not playing or maybe he's on the end of his career or whatever. But he's the ambassador of the PGA Tour. And he, he basically he's got his loyalties with these guys, and that's completely fair. I don't disagree with him. Not, it's his choice, and
he
nobody's faulting him for it or any stretch. But I respect the man for that, right?
he has also lost a lot of respect throughout with the
Right,
things that happened to him.
right. Things that have
It
happened
would
over the years. Yes.
this would take another hit on his reputation if he did it as well. He knows
Oh,
that.
abandon the people that made him, basically. Yeah, I would say
And,
so.
and also he has nothing else to prove. There is nothing that man needs to prove anywhere
No,
else. He's proven he was the best. I kind of honestly, I'm gonna like I loved like I'm not a huge golf fan in any way, but I loved watching Tiger hit drive the ball.
well, Tiger brought a generation of
I
people to the game,
Oh,
or
he did.
more,
It
or
he a
more,
new
even
it
still
was
today.
he brought a new age look to the game.
Yes, a youthful look
Yes, there was
because
more young people who wanted to play golf when they saw Tiger Woods play golf.
well, we both grew
Because
up with that. Yeah.
we grew up with golf was a gentleman's old man game. Honestly, we did.
It's not wrong to say that. I mean, the
No,
players like Lee Trevino, and I mean, golf is a very big thing with my
but
family.
but when
My
we
dad and
when we
uncle
were
play it.
when I was growing up as a kid, anytime you saw an image of a golfer, it was a gray-haired older guy
Yes.
golfing.
Most of the time,
You
yes.
never saw a guy look like me golfing
Yeah.
until you watched Happy Gilmore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like you had, like I said, like guys like Lee Trevino and Fred Couples, who, by the way, he
Fuzzy
just re-
Zeller.
he just retired, actually. Fred Couples, from his anchor duties that he was doing there. They had
Yeah.
a tribute to him. But I mean, players like that now, Nick Faldo back then, and Fred Couples and all those guys, they were younger back then, but they were still
They
not. They weren't 20
they
years
still
old.
look like 40-year-old men, which they
Yeah, like
were.
Paul Azinger and
Yeah.
and all those other, and John Daly, and I mean John
But
Daly was a
and
face as
like
well.
for example, when you see like Garcia and those guys, they still look like older men. Like Tiger looked like a young man compared to these guys, like really young. Even though they were about the same age, they looked older for whatever reason.
Well, you had Woods now. Now
Tiger
you have
brought,
right. Yeah,
yeah,
like
you have all
Finau,
those young guys now. You have Jordan
right?
Spieth,
hmm Well, Speed,
like all those guys. They all
Finau,
came in like
you know, before all live showed up, you had
yeah, Bryson
Beauchambeau and
DeChambeau,
DeChambeau, sorry, DeChambeau,
yeah,
and all these more Rory McIlroy. I mean, these are all young names. Now they're a little older.
those and they all started in the PGA Tour between 20 to 25.
Hmm
Whereas when we were younger, you got to the PGA Tour at 30 plus usually, I think.
Yes, normally yes. The
And it was
younger
invitation
players
only.
weren't
Yeah,
really there. Yeah, that's right. You had
it
to
was
have
invitation
play.
only.
Yeah, you had to play a round, or to get your card, you have to play to show that you can play in
You
this
had to
league or
qualify
whatever.
in a certain
Yeah.
spot to qualify
Mhm.
for a PGA Tour game to see if you were good enough to stay.
Yeah, to get your card. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can participate in the tour. So,
hmm
oh, it's
But
going to continue to grow, this live tour news. I've been watching
I
it quite a bit.
I
So,
think the Live Tour could push the PGA Tour out of business if it keeps up.
well, the PGA Tour
And
has
I'm
to
not saying that
change.
and the biggest problem with PGA Tour, it's still set in the 1940s the way it's set up.
Yeah, because it's worked for this long, and now it can't. It's got to change. It's got to adapt.
Mhm.
It's got a team. Now it's got a tour, regardless of where it comes from and how it's funded and all that. It doesn't matter in terms of the how the league is designed. They've got a system that the the PGA Tour has no desire to do. As you said, they have a setup where it's you get a contract and your winnings, which they don't have. They do.
No,
You have to provide your own caddy. You have to provide all your own stuff. They are going to
these
support
guys
everything.
these guys in Live Tour, I was listening to TSN 69. They were saying, I just found a new thing. They get like entrance music when they get called up to start. They have their own like entrance music, like it's
I
it's
didn't know that
WWE
either.
wrestling and stuff like.
Well, they're trying to make the game for younger crowds. The live tour
And
guys, however they're bankrolled,
mhm,
they want the younger group. That's the thing. Because you're not going to grow as a league if you don't have the younger crowd, like in any
they're
sport.
they're pushing for a new generation of golf. They're
Yeah,
showing
yeah,
they want to get rid of old and boring and move into new and fun.
yeah.
They want
More
people to
edgy.
cheer while you're hitting the ball.
Yeah.
They don't want you to listen to grass grow while they're hitting the ball.
Or whenever the announcers whisper in their microphones when
Yes.
they're nowhere near the shot.
They're
That's the
they're
best.
watching the best is they're watching a monitor and they're sitting at the front of the place. They're not even near the golfers and they're like, he's coming up for a shot now. Here we go.
He can't hear you. He can't hear you. And I always was, like I said earlier, my family is very much into golf, including myself. I play golf, and not so much lately, but I have in the past. Anyway, lots of golf was watched, and I always used to watch it with my dad and my uncle and that. And anyway, that was always the thing that got my attention. I'm like, you're nowhere near the guy. Why are you whispering? Sometimes they were. I'm not saying they all weren't,
Yeah.
but sometimes you were just, why is he
But
whispering?
usually when they
I don't
are
care.
near the guy, they're
Yeah.
sitting on the first hole while the other guy's on the 17th hole.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or usually at the end, they always come and they have the big thing. And anyway,
Or usually, I think the televised stuff, the announcer is actually sitting near the 18th hole.
yeah,
The
yeah. They
whole
usually
time.
they always have they're near the 18th because that's obviously where it finishes, right? So they want the big moment, right? Whenever the last play is done, the last putt, and then if he gets an
So
eagle or a thing, well, the crowd cheers, and you know
yeah,
how it
and
is.
it's nice and close, right?
Right, exactly. They want to get the winning moment, so I understand that. But anyway, we'll see how this live thing continues. I'm going to
I
continue to
think
watch it.
I personally think it's going to be successful, and it might actually draw more viewers.
Yes, absolutely. Pardon the dog barking, everybody. They just got home. So I think what we could do, if you want, if you feel we can wrap the show up here, just a
I think
little
we should
over an
call it
hour.
tonight.
So
I mean, unfortunately, guys, there's not a lot of news right now. It's very dry.
yeah, that's
So
one of the reasons why we chose to skip a week, and that's completely fine. Like the news is going to heat up very quickly in the next few weeks.
Well,
So
I can tell you for the hockey news right now, there are 2 teams that are still under the cap floor. So expect by training camp some moves. There are also teams that have to get under that certain percentage of LTIR.
right,
So I
yeah,
believe leading when camp starts, when teams know what they have, they're going to look for what they want or
yes,
move out what they can.
yeah. I'd say by the end of the month, early September, we're going to start seeing some really big movement. Of course, the NFL will start by then, and we'll
Well,
have more to talk about.
you have to be cap compliant by like 2 games before the season starts, I think is, which is like
Yes,
October 7th or
you'd be
something like that.
10% over. Yeah,
But it has to be done by that date, or else
yeah.
there's a
Oh
penalty
no.
or whatever happens.
Oh, there's moves
So
to be made. Yeah.
I believe from September 20th to about September 6th, we will have a lot of information
Yeah.
coming up.
So maybe as we wrap up here, if you want, I can. So what we're going to try to do for everyone watching, we're going to be basically trying to do a week show, unless there's some like continuing the updates like I do and what Typhoon has done. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try to produce one show a week at least. And we're going to try to make sure it's on the same day. Thursday would be probably a good day, or Sunday, depending. We'll see. We haven't discussed that yet, but that's the plan. And then going forward, anything coming up, we'll do an updates on. So you just keep an eye on the YouTube channel, keep an eye on Anchor and Spotify as the stuff comes out. And and please continue to watch YouTube. If you really like what we're doing, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. We have the notification
And leave
bell
us a
to the right.
comment.
Yes.
Leave us some comments, guys.
So what we're going to do before we say goodnight, I'm going to bring up a question. So for the crowd, if anyone's watching, I forgot to put this up, but we're going to do it here. So the question is, and if leave the comments below what you think, is that will the Jays make the playoffs? Now, as Typhoon mentioned earlier, there's a big heated playoff race going on in the AL right now. So do you think that the Jays will make the playoffs? And do you think that you're happy? Are you happy with what the Jays, we'll focus on the Jays because it's Canada's team. Are you happy with their deadline moves? So please feel free to leave comments below in that section. So with those 2 questions, and
Now, I'll
please,
answer that question myself, just so it's there.
sure.
I think the Jays will make the playoffs, and I think they did well at the trade deadline. I just feel that they should have gone after one more starting pitcher. I think that's the weakness, but hopefully it's not as big a weakness as I think.
I agree. Starting pitching, you can never have enough of it. I mean, relievers, you can never have enough of that either. But they could have gone after that. But I did like what they picked up, who they picked up. But I mean, with Soto going where he went, and Jays were never, in my opinion, in the running for that guy. They would have had to gut half the team to get him. And why would you
Ohtani
just?
and
Yeah.
Ohtani and him were never happening.
Well,
At least
Ohtani couldn't go.
Well, that is not a move the Jays would make during the season. That is an
No,
off-season
that's
trade.
off-season move. That's right. And the other thing is too is that why would the Angels let him go? That's another thing. Why? I have a player that can be a starting pitcher, not a reliever, starting pitcher, and he's one of my best hitters. You know
and
what?
he could play DH for 4 games.
And in a league that allows the pitching to hit, you know what? Let's trade him. He's no good. I don't like him.
Yep.
We'll trade him to the AL where he actually, totally different league. But anyway,
Although one
don't get it.
guy was saying, I was listening to TSN 690, one baseball guy was saying that he doesn't think, he said he would probably have gone after Juan Soto when it came down to Ohtani and him. They asked which one. He said, because you look at Soto, he's only an outfield player and he's only a hitter.
Right.
He can keep that up for many years. Ohtani cannot do both at the same pace for many years. He's going to wear out way faster.
He'll wear down. Yeah, he's going to wear down.
He'll wear down way faster. He said, so if it came down to looking at 1 or 2, I would go after the for sure that I know what he can do, and that'll be a good 15 years of that, where the other one could do 7 to 10 years maybe before he starts breaking down completely.
Right.
Because it is a lot of strain on the body. You're
the arm as hard as you can. The arm can't take it. Right.
You're throwing as hard as you can, then you're trying to take shock from hitting the ball.
it's just it's amazing he can do it, and at the pace he does it. But yes, it will wear down over time. You're absolutely right. It will wear down. So, and I don't think the Angels should move him. To me, it'd be ludicrous to move a guy like that. But they obviously have a reason for it. So, but they're not doing it anyway. So that's not. It's kind of a moot point. But it's still interesting that they brought it up and it was a thing. But
Well, there was talk
so
that they were thinking of moving him, and then they were like, "No, it's not happening on deadline
well,
day."
if you're a good general manager, you always listen to anything, right? Like in
Yes.
any
Well,
league, you're not going to say no. No. You secretly they all listen, but it doesn't
well,
mean they're going to make a move.
everyone has a price.
Yeah, there's a job.
Unfortunately,
They have a job. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the way life is. Everyone has a price.
right.
So the GM's going to listen, and if he goes, "We want Otani," and then the GM goes, "Okay, well, I want that guy, that guy, that guy,
Yeah.
and those three
And
guys,"
all your
and the guy
prospects.
and the guy turns around and goes, "Okay, well, you're not going to go. Oh no, I was just kidding. You're going to go trade."
Let's make a deal.
Yes.
Yeah. So no.
And
Anyway, it was interesting to read that news, but I didn't think it was going to happen.
I never thought Otani was moving.
No.
I honestly didn't. There's
No.
Why would you give away, like I said, one of the best
Wow.
hitters and one of the best pitchers?
Like I told you, imagine if this happened in the NHL where they did that kind of ludicrous stuff. Let's trade Connor McDavid. You know, well, I want to listen to what's offered. No, you keep that guy. Simple as that.
If you
Yeah.
come and say, "Do you want Connor McDavid?" and what if we want Connor McDavid and what would you like? Here's the menu.
Yeah, here's
Then
the list.
the guy
Yeah.
will. Then the guy will say, "That one, that one, that one,
Yeah.
that one."
Yeah. All of this. Yeah. No.
Give me 4 first-round picks and then these 3
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think that's it for tonight. So as we said earlier, that's all for everyone. So
Yes.
thanks again, Typhoon. Thanks for running this one. That was good.
No problem.
It was fun.
And thank you for whoever watched and listened, and whoever listens later on, maybe.
Sounds good. Yes, we're going to be posting this video later once it's been edited a little bit. I know it's already up on YouTube, but either way, I'll post it.
We'll be editing the version for Spotify and Anchor as well.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
All right.
Sounds
So
good.
everyone, have yourselves a good night, and Ryan, you have yourself a good night as well.
You too, man. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Have a good one.
See ya later, everybody. Have a good
Bye,
night.
everyone.
Bye-bye.